World War III has never been closer than it is right now. One of the reasons I was the only president in generations who didn't start a war is that I was the only president who rejected the catastrophic advice of many of Washington's generals.
Donald Trump.
We've just had to run inside because of a huge explosion outside.
There is a sound of bombardment coming from all around us.
Oh my God, that sounded really close.
This is a year of war.
Over the past year, the world has been holding its breath. Tensions in Ukraine have exploded from a regional conflict into a global crisis with no end in sight.
And new Russian attacks on civilians tonight, just one day after those missiles struck a central city, killing at least 23 people, including 3 children.
President Joe Biden's decision to approve the use of ATACMS long-range missiles for Ukraine has sent shockwaves through the international community.
This after Washington allowed Kyiv to use American-made long-range missiles to strike deep inside Russian territory.
These aren't just ordinary weapons. They are provocations capable of striking deep into Russian-held territory. They are designed to send a message, but the question is, what message is really being sent? And what might the consequences be? Russia's response has been chilling. Putin has called this move a red line.
Ukraine's army has said it has made major gains around the port city of Kherson following Russia's announcement that its troops were withdrawing from the area.
Warning of grave consequences. The phrase is ominous, yet deliberately vague. But one thing is clear. Every new escalation pushes us closer to the unthinkable, direct confrontation between nuclear powers. The clock is ticking, and the stakes couldn't be higher.
Full of symbolism. So the fear is that this could trigger a very strong Russian response. We saw yesterday that a residential area of the city of Zaporizhia, a major city in the south of the country.
Biden's approval of these missiles was meant to show strength, to project confidence to Ukraine and send a warning to Russia. But has it done the opposite? Has it backfired? These missiles, with a range of 190 miles, have opened the door for Ukraine to strike Russian targets far beyond the front lines. To some, this seems like progress, but in reality, it's the most significant escalation of U.S. involvement in this war yet, each strike risks provoking retaliation from Putin. Retaliation that could spill over far beyond Ukraine's borders. And Putin's response? It's been nothing short of alarming. Not only has Russia ramped up its nuclear rhetoric, but intelligence reports indicate that tactical nuclear weapons have been moved closer to the front lines. This isn't just posturing anymore, it's preparation.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome President-elect Donald J. Trump.
It is now clear that we've achieved the most incredible political thing. Look what happened. Is this crazy?
This is where Donald Trump comes into the picture. Love him or hate him, Trump's name carries weight in global politics for one reason: unpredictability.
Are you ready? Can I talk?
Yeah, what's
you
the
mind?
answer?
Do you mind?
I would like for you to answer the question.
Okay, it's very simple to answer.
That's why I asked it.
It's very simple to, you're a nasty person, I'll tell you.
He's often called erratic, impulsive, even reckless. But here's the thing: unpredictability can be a weapon. And in geopolitics, it's a weapon that can stop enemies in their tracks. When Trump launched a missile strike on Syria in 2017, it wasn't just an attack on Assad's regime, it was a message to the world. I'm not afraid to act, and you'll never see me coming.
The news that the United States has launched 59 cruise missiles at a Syrian airfield. An airfield the Americans say was used to launch a chemical weapons attack on civilians earlier this week.
This strategy, sometimes called the madman theory, isn't new. In fact, it's been used before. In the 1970s, President Nixon used a similar approach with the Soviet Union. By creating an image of being volatile and unpredictable, he kept his enemies guessing. Trump took this strategy to a whole new level. Whether it was North Korea's Kim Jong-un, Iran, or even NATO allies, world leaders didn't know what to expect from him. That fear kept them cautious. It's a risky game, but it worked.
Russian President Vladimir Putin and North Korea's Kim Jong-un just signed this paper in Pyongyang. They are pledging to help each other if their countries are attacked.
To understand why Trump's potential return matters, we need to take a hard look at where we are right now. The global landscape is shifting in ways that should terrify everyone. China has increasingly aligned itself with Russia, providing diplomatic cover and, potentially, military supplies. This alliance is reshaping global power dynamics and creating an axis of opposition to the West. Meanwhile, sanctions on Russia, while crippling their economy, have created unintended ripple effects.
Biggest range of sanctions that we've ever imposed as a country that have been implemented on Vladimir Putin and on Russia. It's a whole range of different things.
Energy shortages and soaring inflation are destabilizing governments worldwide, leaving ordinary people to bear the brunt.
And what this line is showing you is it's known as high priority items. Basically, it's the stuff that is turning up on the battlefield that can be turned into weapons.
From rising gas prices to food shortages, the impact of this conflict is being felt in homes across the globe. It's not just a political issue anymore, it's personal. And the longer this drags on, the more lives will be affected. Critics are quick to highlight Trump's flaws, his brashness, his ego, his controversial rhetoric.
He basically placed himself and his ego front and center in the pandemic response.
But even his harshest critics can't deny his track record in foreign policy. During his presidency, there were no new wars.
I don't think it is. I think what we're seeing is a very tough negotiating position by President-elect Trump and his administration.
In fact, Trump often pushed for de-escalation.
Ending his evil reign of terror forever. This nation is our canvas, and this country is our masterpiece.
Take the Abraham Accords, for example. Under Trump's leadership, these agreements normalized relations between Israel and several Arab nations, something that was once thought impossible. Or consider his insistence on NATO contributions. While some saw it as an attack on allies, it forced them to rethink their own defense strategies, making NATO stronger in the long run. And then, there's North Korea.
No one has shown more contempt for other nations and for the well-being of their own people than the depraved regime in North Korea. Rocket Man is on a suicide mission for himself and for his regime.
His summits with Kim Jong-un, though unconventional.
In other news, the incoming Trump administration is reportedly considering direct talks with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. More than 5 years after stalled talks between Washington and Pyongyang. Our Lee Soo-jin tells us more.
Temporarily stopped nuclear testing, a feat few leaders have ever achieved. Trump's approach wasn't perfect, but it was effective in ways that traditional diplomacy hasn't been.
Urging the president to confront Putin about Russia's interference in the 2016 election.
Vladimir Putin is as clear-eyed and cold-blooded as any foreign leader I have ever seen.
Now, imagine this. Trump sitting across from Putin, not as a politician, but as a deal maker.
We get the first images of President Trump and Vladimir Putin sitting down next to each other. And President Trump is sitting up in his chair, looking as though he really, really wants to get something out of this meeting.
Well, first of all, Mr. President, I'd like to congratulate you on a really great World Cup.
His style isn't about diplomacy as usual, it's transactional. He'd ask the hard questions. What do you want? What can I get in return?
Thank you.
Trump never understood that, never understood what the nature of Putin's game was. I think Putin thought Trump was a fool and easily manipulable.
Putin didn't need the KGB's psychological profilers to hand him a dossier on how to play Donald Trump. He was able to read Trump. He had a very good understanding of how to flatter him. He knew how to play Trump like a violin.
It's a simple approach, but sometimes simplicity is exactly what's needed. Trump's willingness to call out global powers, whether it's China, NATO, or even his own allies.
I have been very, very direct with Secretary Stoltenberg and members of the alliance in saying that NATO members must finally contribute their fair share and meet their financial obligations.
Gives him a unique edge. He's not afraid to take risks, and he doesn't play by the usual rules. And in a world spiraling toward chaos, that might be the exact kind of leadership we need. The world is at a turning point. Biden's strategies have brought us closer to the brink of conflict.
It is a nice world today, and I appreciate it very much. A transition that's so smooth, it'll be as smooth as it can get, and I very much appreciate that, Joe. You're welcome.
And the stakes have never been higher. But in chaos, there is also opportunity. Donald Trump's unpredictability, his willingness to take risks, and his refusal to conform to traditional politics make him both feared and respected. And in a world on the edge of World War III, that might be the exact combination we need. Could Trump's return be the reset button that stops the clock on global destruction? Or is his approach too risky in such volatile times? Only time will tell. What do you think? Could Trump's return bring the stability the world desperately needs? Or would his leadership only add fuel to the fire? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video thought-provoking, don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories that shape our world. Until next time, stay curious and stay informed.